This is Rachel Hill for the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa Web Series. And in this series, we're going to bring to you some of the most fantastic people in Cleveland who are changing lives, making impacts. One of the things that we also discuss with them is what does Black history and culture mean to them? And we also talk to them about what do they love about the garden as well. So these are wonderful conversations that we think you should sit down and watch, and you can learn and grow and be inspired, because a garden belongs to all of us and it is so important. But also you need to know about what people in the community are doing to better the community, because we all know that we have better days ahead. Please make sure you stay tuned for all of the episodes of the Sankofa Web Series, brought to you by the African American Cultural Gardens. This is Rachel Hill with the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa Educational Series. and I am here with Derek and Damon Cody, twins. So happy to have them here. And we're going to continue our series about education and talk about these wonderful guys and what they're doing in the community. Derek and Damon, how are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Doing well.
And glad to be here. It's a pleasure to be here today. So doing awesome.
Great. Now you guys are twins, stating the obvious for our audience if they haven't noticed. So which twin wants to go first, oldest or youngest? But want to get to the bottom of who you guys are. I want you guys to tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Let's start with the oldest, and that'll be me.
I have a feeling this happens a lot, right?
All the time.
Always, right? Always. I have to exercise my little bit of power that I have over my younger brother here. So we're just really everyday guys, born and raised here in Cleveland, for the most part, right here in the Glenville community, and it's where we went to high school. So go Tar Blooders. Well, we're about so in high school we were really both involved in sports. We ran track and played football, but I think mostly we were, really heavily involved in academics, at Glenville, and always pushing each other. I think the competition between each other to get the better grade has, I think, pushed us, from day one, and still pushes us to do more. And we're always helping each other as well too, as well. So. But that's really, basically a bit about our background. I guess I can go more into college. After Glenville, we both went on to Ohio Wesleyan University together, and that was where we kind of took different roads. I studied computer science, and my brother here, he went into medicine. And Derek, what did you?
Yeah, so we took a little different path from an educational standpoint. I went to pre-med in zoology and a minor in chemistry, and then after that it was off to graduate school. Well, I attended Kent State and NeoMed for a master's degree in cellular and molecular biology, and from there I did some research and really always knew I wanted to go into medicine. I had a passion for science, I had a passion for helping others, and there was no better way to really combine those two passions than to go to medical school and become a physician. And I feel very fortunate that while I was in medical school, I was exposed to plastic surgery, which I think is the greatest field of medicine. We get to treat so many different ailments. I see some patients who come for aesthetic concerns, which I think most people readily recognize as a part of plastic surgery. But what I don't think most people realize is that plastic surgery is also heavily involved in reconstructive surgeons. We used to call ourselves plastic and reconstructive surgeons. We've shortened the name, but we still all do a lot of reconstruction. So I see patients who have congenital defects, post-traumatic defects, and I dedicate a lot of my practice to women with breast cancer who have a need for state-of-the-art breast reconstruction. So sort of me in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was it that made you want to work with computers and IT? Because I got a chance to look at both of your guys' resumes, and it's about 5 pages long, so you guys have done a lot. I'm just exaggerating, it wasn't really 5 pages. But you guys have done a lot. So what was it that made you want to work with computers?
So in junior high school, again, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and we had a visitor come into school one day and said, technology is going to be the future. And I said, wow, if I find out what this technology thing is, I'm gonna have a place in the future. And so that really, at a really super young age, turned on a light for me that said, I wanna know more about technology. And so when I got to Ohio Wesleyan, I got interested in, computer science, and I'm reaping the benefits of that decision every day. But I will say this, it was tough. Like computer science, I did great in math at Glenville and had a really good career in math, in college. But when I got to computer science, it was more about, how do I think about developing an algorithm? And I really didn't even know what an algorithm was. And so I struggled mightily for like the first 2 years, but time and place and opportunity prevailed for me. And I was committed. So to me, success is one word. and it's a commitment. If you commit to it, you will succeed, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so I was committed, but also, like, Malcolm Gladwell talks about in this book, time and place and opportunity. So I'm gonna just tell a quick story. I went to Morehouse for 1 semester, and I met a professor named Dr. Millett, and this was his first semester teaching at Morehouse after 10 years in industry. Time and place and opportunity. This African American, male taught me how to mentally, develop algorithms to solve complex problems with computers. And that was really, for me, the defining moment of my collegiate career, was studying under him. I'm literally in the position that I am in today because of 1 semester at Morehouse College with Dr. Millett. And I think I called him, this professor would actually play basketball with us on Saturday, but he was all business in the classroom. His sons would walk around the campus with, button-down shirts with pocket protectors and pens in them. Just an incredible guy, but a really accessible guy. So I called him years later, and as soon as I said, hello, Dr. Millett, he was like, hey, Damon. Like, that is never, Wesleyan was a great school, great education, but I didn't make that type of connection with, with a professor like that at Wesleyan. So really, I did struggle for a while, but with the right, opportunity to study under this professor changed everything for me.
Amazing. And what made you decide, or what was the turning point in which you realized you wanted to practice medicine and then work on women with breast cancer?
So, I've always really enjoyed science, and so at some point I thought I might just be a scientist, and for a while I did basic science research. But it was really a desire to kind of help people in the way that I thought I can make the biggest impact. So I thought as a physician I could really still use the science background and still interact with people and figure out how best to help them. And in medical school we do rotations on different specialties, and I just feel very fortunate that I was able to spend some time with some plastic surgeons who really kind of embraced me and took me under their wing. Actually, the first case that I did as a student was a breast reconstruction case, and so that kind of stuck with me as well. So, and I think that has just really opened a lot of doors for me. Plastic surgery, again, I've been to mission trips in South America, Haiti, and Kenya, where we've done just some really amazing things. And sometimes we think we're taking a lot of stuff there, but I learned so much every mission trip. They do things differently with less resources, and I'm just as amazed how they can do some of the things that we require a lot more resources to do. So it's a two-way street, and so I've just enjoyed so much gratification from being a plastic surgeon. And every day is different. One day may be a facelift, and the next day I may be doing a complex facial reanimation surgery. So I really enjoy it.
So lifts and tucks and things like that, you don't do those?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I know you mentioned more of the reconstruction and not, because, we all think if we went to the plastic surgeon, what we have done. You speak of congenital defects, and I carry a trait for a 6-digit. So my niece was born with a 6-digit, and the next day after she was born, she was immediately whisked away to the plastic surgeon and had plastic surgery. So when you mentioned that, that's one of the things I thought of. So can you guys tell the audience, what do you think Black history and culture means to you both?
Yes. It is amazingly important. Because really when I think of, African American history and culture, I think of something that is core to like the structure and foundation of this country. This country as we know it today would not be what it is without the involuntary and voluntary contributions of African Americans. So it's vitally important. And also I think about when we think about exposure to our culture and exposure to our culture and history to our youth. Because, in this day and age, our youth, they might grow up not ever knowing what it's not like to have GPS, but they may not know that Gladys West, a black woman, was the leading mathematician that gave way to GPS, right? And so they may not know about the Vivian Thomases who did major things in the medical field, or Percy Julian who, as a black man, was named head of research and development in 1936 of the Glidden Corporation, which was founded right here in Cleveland, Ohio. But he was named director for R&D in the Chicago office, but that was 36, more than 10 years before Jackie Robinson broke the color line in baseball. We were knocking down doors all over the place, in science and in technology and literature and poetry, the arts, you name it, we were doing it. So if we don't tell them that story, they may not know that they can do the same thing. And it would be a true travesty if we didn't do that in Cleveland, Ohio, because in the shadows of the gardens, you have IBM with a building on 105 and Cedar, proximity to the clinic for, scientific research and medicine and IT. The African American community that inherits the periphery of that ecosystem needs to know that that's a place for me to go to make my mark on this society as well. That, yeah, I've taken a bus past that place for years, and now I'm working in that IBM office, writing code and developing innovations for healthcare and medicine.
Wow, amazing. That was just some interesting facts that you just gave. Just in case people didn't know about those names, there are going to be excellent resources to Google and look up and learn some history and education. And I would ask the same question.
Yeah, for me, African American history is all about context. I think it gives you the context to interpret the past appropriately. It gives you the context to navigate current day situations to your advantage. And it gives you the ability to plot a path to the future so that you can maximize your outcomes and your successes. So without that history, we lack context, and we don't know how capable we are. We don't know about those great individuals that my brother just mentioned. So we don't know those shoulders that we stand upon and how we can be inspired to go even further without that context. So I think it just gives us a frame of reference for us to move forward, and also lets us know we have a duty to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what would you say that the garden means to you both?
So as native sons of Cleveland, I have a lifetime of memories of the garden. We played down there as kids. For me, it was always amazing to see first the bridges and then the displays of culture and heritage for these different nations. So I was always in awe of the garden, but I always felt like there was something missing, and that was, where was I represented in the garden? So this is extremely important to me, because I would love to have our proud culture and heritage on display along with all the other great nations.
Gardens, I think they're vitally important to the health and the growth and the well-being of the African American community and the greater Cleveland community, because it gives us an opportunity to tell in our own words, define for ourselves our own cultural identity. And so for us, I think that's going to give us that, place and feeling of acceptance and belonging and security and confidence to go out and do just greater things. And I think for the community abroad, it's going to say, hey, it's going to give us the opportunity to give them a first-person perspective on who we are that counters perhaps some of the narratives that they might receive elsewhere. And so culture has always been one of those things that is a great way to break down barriers and to go deep and learn, about something that's different than you. So I think it's vitally important to not just the African American community, but Cleveland as a whole.
What advice would you give to the younger generations, and have you guys had an opportunity to go back and speak at Glenville with those younger students and talk about your journey, your life experiences, and the power of education? What advice would you give to the youth now?
Well, I think the advice that I would give is to believe in yourself. Always believe in yourself. Number 2 is invest in yourself. You're worth it. And probably number 3 is hard work solves almost all your problems. I believe in the 10,000 hour rule. If you put in the time, you will reap the rewards. All success starts with little successes. And if we look at the human body, we're a billion little cells that make us whole. And so a little success every day will equal a huge success down the road.
Yeah, I completely agree with my brother. Success is defined by one word, and that's commitment. What you commit to, you will succeed at, and you can't do anything about it. So stay committed to your dreams and your passions, and you will reach those goals.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank both of you guys for taking the time today to sit down with us. This has been an interesting and informative discussion, and just want to thank everything that you guys do for community in both the different ways, and just thank you so much for being here today. And this is Rachel Hill with the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa Education Series. Thank you so much for watching, and always stay tuned.
The Association of African American Cultural Gardens highlights excellence in the community. Now it's time to see if you know this excellent individual. At East Technical High School, this phenomenal person quickly made a name for himself as a nationally recognized sprinter, setting records in the 100 and 200-yard dashes, as well as the long jump. This individual enrolled in the Ohio State University, where he continued to become an American athlete. He is best remembered for his performance at the 1936 Berlin Olympics, where he won 4 gold medals. Did you say Jesse Owens? Then you do know.
Hi, I am Ernestine Baker Hall, one of the board members of the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. The association is so excited that you tuned in today and hope you are enjoying the Sankofa Web Series. We need you. We want you to join us in helping to complete your garden. This garden is yours for you and your family to enjoy for generations to come. Your children and your grandchildren will be proud of the sacrifices you made to help build this garden. Go to the website aacg.org to make your tax-deductible donation. Thank you.